Greetings, I'm Jason and welcome to my comic book reviews. Big monster week this week for books. I've got 19 books there to review, so this could be a long one. So I'd get comfortable, get your beverage. I've got mine already, and let's get through some reviews. It's going to become a regular thing now. Every week I'm going to kick off with the two weekly books. So this week we're kicking off with Future's End, issue number 20. This was a really great issue. Love that cover, by the way. Really freaky cover with the Joker, even though he isn't in this issue, but I think he's going to play a part in the future. This issue was good. It didn't have any kind of big bombastic fight scenes, but it still felt like a lot of the story moved forward. We get a lot with Tim Drake, and we find out why he stopped being Red Robin and what's going on there. We have a nice bit with 25 years in the future, where we have our future kind of find out what happened to Bruce Wayne in the future. It's not good. And we get Brother Eye's plans in the future, because he knows that the other Batman went back in time, so we get to find out what's going on there. We then, on Cadmus Island, our group of characters are trying to plot a plan that can help them defeat Brother Eye, so that's good, what's going on there. So yeah, all in all, the story's really been pushed forward all the way. Oh, and then at the end we have Mr. Terrific interrogating Coil and Key. So the story is really moving forward, even though, like I say, it was a quieter issue. Art-wise, I liked art. I feel with Future's End, I feel the artists match up more. I feel with Batman Eternal, the artists are a bit more extreme in their differences, but the artists on this all seem to have similar styles, so it's not that big a jump from week to week. But all in all, this was another really enjoyable issue, and I'd give Future's End, issue number 20, 5 stars out of 5. So jumping on that, the other weekly, it is Batman Eternal, issue number 24. This issue kind of really pretty much exclusively deals with Spoiler, as she has the final showdown with her dad, Cluemaster. We get to find out what Cluemaster's plans are and how he hooks into this overall plan over Gotham that Hush has. So that was really cool to see that. And to learn a bit more, and I really like that, because it seems to be that Hush's whole plan is to bring Gotham to a halt, is to break down Gotham, and so I'm really excited seeing all these different elements that are going on, that are bringing that about. I think it's really been really good. My favourite bit was, of course, with Spoiler. I love the way she deals with Cluemaster at the end. I thought that was a really cool twist, and I enjoyed that. Otherwise, I thought, yeah, the art this issue was good. Like I say, this book seems the artists a bit more, the differences are a bit more extreme, but this was an issue where the art wasn't a problem. The cameo of Batman kind of figuring out something that's going on with Arkham Asylum, I like, because hopefully that means we're going to come to the end of the Arkham Asylum part of this story soon. That's my least favourite part, so I'll be happy when that's done. But Batman's cameo kind of pushed that story on. But the most of it dealt with the Spoiler, and I thought she carried the book well, and I really enjoying her character. A character I've not known before, but so far I've really enjoyed her character. And Batman Eternal was another real strong issue, and I give Batman Eternal issue 24 5 stars out of 5. So moving along now to Marvel, and we have the Hulk Annual, issue number 1. I don't know why I kind of went into this with kind of a negative feel. I didn't feel like it was going to be that good. You could argue, why did I buy it? But I don't know. I just have this negative kind of attitude towards annuals. So I sat down to read this, and I was really blown away. I really enjoyed this. There are mobile artists on the book, but the way it's managed is really good, because there's like different kind of bits in the story, and for the different parts of the story they change artists, and I thought, if you're going to use this many artists on a book, I thought, yeah, that's good. The writer, Monty Nero, I'd not heard of before, but this was a fantastic introduction. It's obviously building off stuff that we've had before, but it's done it in such a way that if you've read the other stuff, you'll enjoy this, but if you haven't read the other stuff, you can follow this story well enough. Takes advantage of the extra space to really tell out a good story. The basic gist of the story is there's this kind of vegetation going on in Vancouver that takes over and consumes everything. So it takes over and then controls animals, human beings, buildings. It just controls and it spreads, and it calls itself Vista. And Hulk gets there, or now as he's known, Doc Green. He gets there and he's like, you know, I've got to stop this. And I liked the differences we're seeing with Doc Green to the regular Hulk. The regular Hulk would have just smashed. Doc Green's a bit more of a thinker, and yeah, and he'll try and talk his way through it. We get the whole origin story of Vista and who Vista was before they became Vista, and that was really cool and ties into the regular Hulk book. But then, as well as all that, Hulk's already formulating this plan, and yeah, all in all, I just really enjoyed the story. The end was just superb in that things ain't totally over yet, so I loved that. All in all, this was, like I say, a really, really, really good book. Really enjoyed this. If you're a Hulk fan, it's definitely worth a pick up, and I give Hulk Annual issue number 1 5 stars out of 5. Next up, we have Batwoman, Future's End, as we're now onto the 3D covers. I like this. I think out of the 3D covers, yakety yak, don't talk back. Sorry, I got distracted. It's that mouth. It's one of my favourite 3D covers. So for that, you know, I really enjoyed it. The story inside. Oh, where do we start? This again, it doesn't really build this Future's End world at all. It's just a potential future story. Basically, Batwoman has become a vampire, and she's going around killing people. At some point in the future, her sister has kind of become sane now, and she's trying to redeem herself for all the sins of her past. And she teams up with Batwoman, so you got Batwoman and Bet, and they form this team, and they have Ragman, Clayface, and Etrigan the Demon, and they're this kind of team. They never kind of mention any kind of name, but they're this team, and you know, that work together. And in this issue, Batwoman is kind of like, we don't know how long she's been a vampire, but she goes basically around destroying this team until she has this final showdown with her sister. I liked the stuff with the team. And I probably would have enjoyed this more if we'd have had an adventure with the team. I think that would have been cool. I liked Bet, and seeing her in this different state where she's trying to redeem herself, I thought was really cool. The Batwoman stuff, though, I didn't like. It's a bit of a dark future because she ends up, I'm sorry I'm going to spoil it, but I want to save as many people as possible from buying this because I don't think it's really worth going out your way for. It's a very dark future for her as she kind of gets taken over by this vampire, or she becomes a vampire, and then she gets killed by her sister. There's no way back for her, and it's a pretty dark kind of end for Batwoman. You know, there are other ways they could have done this. They could have shown her over time fighting this vampirism until it gets too much, and then her sister asks to kill her, but then she carries on. She becomes Batwoman, and she dedicates it not just to redeeming herself, but to her sister who fought for so long before losing the fight, and that she's going to fight on in her sister's name. That would have been much better, because at least you're ending the story with kind of an uplifting kind of end. This is just a total downer for the character. Oh, Batwoman's going to become this evil vampire and kill all the people close to her, and then she's going to get killed herself. So I didn't really like the kind of final fate of Batwoman there. I think they could have done it so much better, but there were elements of this that I did enjoy. So I'm going to give Batwoman Future's End issue number 1 2 stars out of 5. So next up, another Future's End issue, and just as I was like kind of, I don't know if you can see that there, you've got the team together, team apart. Oh god, no, this one isn't very good. It's difficult to catch it. Anywho, Redwood and the Outlaws, Future's End issue number 1. After reading the Batwoman one, I was on a bit of a downer. I'd already kind of had enough of these Future's End books, but this really was good, and it really surprised me. Basically, it's a total Red Hood story. Starfire, at 5 years in the future, she's gone off to be queen. Arsenal is now part of the Justice League and a main hero. So Red Hood has kind of regressed into this kind of vigilante, and he takes out villains or criminals that think that their power and money make them untouchable, and he kind of reminds them, no, you're not, and he'll take them down to help the little people. And I kind of really like this. But he does it in like the way that he'll give them a warning, and they have like 24 hours to either hand themselves in and confess their crimes, or it'll kill them, and they have that choice then. And I really like this, and we have throughout the book we have this internal monologue that just works really well in getting into Red Hood's head. And where, like, when you read something like the Punisher at times can be he's pretty much a psychopath. Like, yeah, he had bad stuff happen to him, but he's become pretty much a psychopath. With this, with Red Hood, we kind of get into Jason Todd's head, and that he doesn't enjoy killing, but he feels that this is something that needs to be done, and that these people need to be taken out or brought to justice, and the ways the other heroes are working with the villains isn't working. I just really enjoyed this, and I wouldn't mind seeing an ongoing series with this version of the Red Hood. I thought it was really cool. I think what would have been cool here, we get to see a little bit of a interaction with him and Arsenal, but I think it really would be interesting in this future to see Batman, because like now you've got Red Hood going back to killing. Would that bring him into conflict with Batman? But so yeah, but I really enjoyed this one. This was a real surprise to me, as it was a really good standalone story, and I hope it's a direction that the book does go in, because I really like what they did with Red Hood here. And I'd give Red Hood and the Outlaws, Future's End, issue number 1, 5 stars out of 5. So then we move on to Justice League, Future's End, issue number 1. We have the current day Justice League, and then it morphs into the future Justice League. This one was actually quite good. It's part 2 of a 2-part story, which, hello DC, one shot, you know, that's not a 2-part book. A one shot is a book that's like standalone. But anywho, it's part 2 of a story that started, I think, last week in Justice League United, and I followed it pretty well. I thought Jeff Lemire writes it. I don't know if he wrote part 1, but he definitely writes part 2. I like the way he writes it. It's easy enough to follow. I didn't have no problem at all. The basic gist of it is, in 5 years in the future, they've built this prison on Mars where they put the supervillains, and Martian Manhunter's kind of the prison guard. Captain Atom, former hero, now villain, is there, and he, along with Gorilla Grodd, has organised this breakout where they're going to be free, and the Justice League are go to the Mars to try and stop them. That's the gist of the story. So for most of the book, we get a lot of battles. I really like Captain Atom in this. He reminded me a lot of Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, which I think Dr. Manhattan was Captain Atom, and they changed him. I think I might be wrong on that, but I think so. But the way they read him here was the first time I've read Captain Atom, and I thought, yeah, that's Dr. Manhattan. It's the first time I've ever read that. I really like what they did with his character here, and how he's kind of gone a bit off the rails, and I thought that was really cool. I found it, like I say, easy to follow. Wasn't too keen on the art in the book, but the story was easy enough to follow, and yeah, it was a decent, like, in the future kind of story, and it did introduce a little bit more some of these other members of the Justice League that we've seen in Future's End. So all in all, this was okay, I'd say, and I think I'd give it 3 stars out of 5. We then have our final Future's End book of the week. It is Batman and Robin, Future's End, issue number 1, and we jump there, and we jump there. Basically, the gist of this issue, we have a new Robin, and he's been kept busy while Batman faces the Heretic. This is the villain that supposed, I think, killed Damian. Well, that's pretty much what they state in here. I never read Damian's death, so I don't know. I've only, like, what I've heard or read since. But yeah, so this character, the Heretic, Bruce is convinced that this guy is the Heretic, and he wants to find out who the Heretic is. So he's fighting the Heretic, but the Heretic is really kicking Bruce's ass. And Robin keeps asking Alfred, is Bruce in trouble? And in the end, you know, things all work out. It's a really good emotional issue. Kind of shows that even 5 years in the future, Bruce still hasn't really got over Damian's death. And that was good, because at least it shows, 1, that Bruce is human, and 2, you know, it kind of builds up what happened even more, that even 5 years in the future, Bruce still isn't over it, and it's still affecting the way he acts and behaves with others. Really like the emotion of the issue. The story, like I say, was easy enough to follow. Nice one-shot story. The Batman in this at least seems to tie in with the way his outfit is. At least seems to tie in with the other Batman books, which was good. While it doesn't build this Futures End world, I did enjoy the story a lot, and I'd give Batman and Robin Futures End issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So now moving along, we have a book from Image. It is Clone, issue 20. Unfortunately, this book's gone on a bit of a hiatus now. There's a bit in the back here where they say they're having a break, which is sad. But once again, this book just is excellent. Oh, wow. I was reading this and I was just blown away. There's some shocking kind of twists and turns. Last issue ended with our tattooed clone was going to blow up the head of this religious organization that wants to kill all the clones, when he recognized baby Eva with one of the religious people, and so like he couldn't leave, so he's got the choice now. Does he walk out of there and let Eva be blown up, baby Eva be blown up, or does he try to save her? So we have this great moral dilemma that he has, and we get the resolution of that. And as always with this book, it goes in a way I just do not expect. It was just like, wow, I did not expect that that to happen. So it was like, wow, yeah, that was pretty shocking. We then have the clones, and they're phoned up. The female clones are phoned up, and it's okay for Amelia to go to the island with Luke and the others. But then she kind of makes a decision. They board the plane, and the story takes a shocking twist, another twist, and then the end of the book, and we start to see this island and what it actually is. Was like, oh my god, this does not look like the paradise they thought it was going to be. This book just continues to be bloody brilliant. I love it. I'm going to miss it while it's on hiatus. Look forward to it coming back. Really recommend people try out the trades. You can pick up the first volume probably really cheap on Amazon or from your local comic book shop, because Image usually do good prices on the first volumes. It's just a really great book. As always, just shocks me. The art just is fantastically consistent. Really great story. The pace the story moves, the shocking twists and turns that happen, it's just like wow. And I would give Clone issue number 20 without a shadow of doubt. It's my pick of the week. So now the rest of the books in my pool that we've got left on my reviews are all Marvel books. So first up we have Uncanny Avengers issue number 24. This was another really strong issue. It continues the march to Axis. I read in a review that this book's going to finish next issue, which I did not know. But it seemed that since the beginning of the book that Remender had a destination where this was heading, so it would be a logical end if Axis is the end of that story that he's been telling, that would be the end of the book. It'll be interesting what's going to happen to the team and the book in the future. Like, I'd miss it if it went, but then on the other hand, it's one less book a month, so I'm at that kind of stage at the moment where while I would miss it, if it's come to the natural end of the story, I think it's better to end it than just to carry on. But this issue was another really strong issue, even though we don't see the whole team. Basically what happens, Havoc, Scarlet Witch and Rogue get captured by the S-Men and taken to Genosha, to the concentration camps that Red Skull was built there. And they kind of meet up with Magneto, who we saw from issue 9 of Magneto's ended up in Genosha, and kind of that's all coming together now. And there were some really good moments there, some great dialogue, because like, of course, Magneto, Scarlet Witch and Rogue have a load of history, so that was really cool. And yeah, this whole book was just a real joy. Some great twists and turns. There's a great moment early in the issue between Wolverine and Rogue, where Wolverine's going off, and you gather that he's going off to do the events that we see in Death of Wolverine, and it's a really poignant, emotional moment, and that was really great. And then the rest of the book is just really loads of twists and turns and some great action. The art this issue is, I think it's Salvador LaRocca, his name, but like, you know, I like the art. We have Havoc still dealing with his face being disfigured, which I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I like the art and the colours this issue. kind of rogue's dream with a dead Professor Xavier. Then they're on Genosha. So yeah, the art was really cool. This book, all in all, was just a really great build up to this Axis story, which I'm really looking forward to. And I would give Uncanny Avengers issue number 24 5 stars out of 5. Next up we have Uncanny X-Men issue number 26. I'm not too keen on that cover. I don't even understand what it is supposed to be, but the actual story inside, I like it. Kind of looks at Cyclops' mental condition, and there's a great kind of a bit of dialogue from Firestorm, sorry, where she talks about like what Cyclops must be going through, and it was a really great moment because it really gets into the psyche of Cyclops and what he's gone through and where he's at right now, and I really like that. We have the young mutants that are back at the base, kind of having this debate about what they've been trained for and whether that makes them heroes or villains, that I thought was really interesting. And of course you've got Cyclops going off with the X-Men to do this mission to help Matthew, and we learn a little bit more about Matthew's powers. Like I say, I enjoyed this, particularly the look at like Cyclops' psyche and really getting into what he's going through, which I really liked. I thought was really cool. And I like I've said, I find what they're doing with Cyclops at the moment has made him the most interesting that I've ever seen his character be. The stuff with the young mutants as well was really interesting. The whole debate of, well, if we've been trained to fight Avengers, does that make us heroes or villains? I thought was really interesting, and kind of pushing them into not just being these young kids that are following blindly this cause. They're beginning to ask questions, which I like. Yeah, so all in all, yeah, I thought this was good. Art-wise, who's on the art this issue? Chris Anker is on art, and I quite like the art. I probably have heard of Chris Anker, but it's not a name that immediately comes to me. But I really did like the art this issue, and I thought it really worked well. But yeah, this was another really good issue, and I give Uncanny X-Men issue number 26 4 stars out of 5. So now moving on, this book nearly was my pick of the week. It is Edge of the Spider-Verse, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman. This was another great issue. None of this story kind of really ties into Spider-Verse yet. It just really introduces this character who's going to play a part later on. We meet Gwen Stacy, and she's Spider-Woman, and we get all of the history. One of the things I love about these alternate realities is how kind of things get twisted a bit, and her lesson of with power comes responsibility is different, and it's a different person that dies for her than died for Peter Parker to get that lesson, and I liked it a lot. And I liked her characterization, I liked her relationship with her dad, and just the whole book was just really a lot of fun and really great, and the art as well was really worked well with the story, and I'd give Edge of Spider-Verse issue number 2 5 stars out of 5. Next up we have Superior Spider-Man issue number 33. This issue was fantastic. If you're loving the Edge of Spider-Verse storyline, this is the must-read issue this week. We get this character on the cover who's going through the different multiverses, killing off Spider-Man. We get his origin in here. We learn who he is. His name is Khan. We learn who he is. We learn why he wears that helmet and what his ultimate mission is, why he's going through the multiverse, killing all of these Spider-Men. And I must say, it was a really cool origin because, for me at least, it made him a much more interesting character now that I know his background. So yeah, I think it's a really top job from the team on this book. I loved like the team of Spider-Man that they gather at the beginning. Like it starts off, he's battling this Spider-Man, and it looks pretty normal. It says Earth 2818, and then he's battling the Spider-Man, and it's a cyborg Spider-Man. It's like, oh my god, it's a cyborg Spider-Man. and then all of these other Spider-Men come. So we have Spider-Man India, we have Spider-Man Noir, we have Six-Armed Spider-Man, we have the Superior Spider-Man, we have Assassin Spider-Man, we have Spider-Girl, and Spider-Monkey, which is just awesome. I'm just loving all those different Spider-Men that come, and they kind of think they have a plan. Well, Doc Ock, our Superior Spider-Man, thinks he has a plan for dealing with Khan. And so, like, the first half of this book, which is illustrated by Giuseppe Camuncoli, it kind of deals with them battling Khan and then some others turning up. And it's really, really cool as we get to learn a bit more and we get to see how the fight is developing, which is really cool and I really enjoyed. Then the second half of the book, which is Sepulveda, who illustrates it, kind of deals with the whole backstory of Khan and who he is and why he's doing this. And the art to this is really good, and I think it works having two different artists because this is just a real different part of the story. This was a must read if you're enjoying the Edge of Spider-Verse. A whole load of fun. I'm loving all the different Spider-Men. Really great book. I'd give it 5 stars out of 5. Next up we have Nova issue number 21, which I was a bit disappointed with. Nova's going off now to save his dad. We get him back on Earth, helping his mum move house, kind of to ground the story. And then he's off into space to find his dad, but his dad's already escaped, so he's missed him, so he doesn't know where his dad is. And then he returns to Earth and has to deal with the consequences to life on Earth. But after seeing all the space stuff and the consequences he's been dealing with, the consequences he then has to deal with Earth seem a bit like... It's a bit of like, it don't really work. I can understand what the writer's trying to do. It's trying to ground the story in real life, but the ending and the consequences of that, the consequences of what's going on in space, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't. It's just the different levels, and for me, it didn't work, and I was a bit disappointed. The art, once again, in this is really great. I really enjoyed the art. Who is the artist? David Baldion. And he's doing a great job art-wise with the story. But yeah, I just found the story this issue a bit disappointing, and give Nova issue number 21 3 stars out of 5. We then have Hulk issue number 6, and I'm really enjoying this. I think Mark Bagley's art has really picked up, and you know, I really think it works well with the story. There's particularly this lovely spread here where he's battling A-Bomb. Hulk, or now as he wants to be known, Doc Green, he's going around everybody who has gamma powers he sees as a weapon, so he's taking their gamma powers away. His first one is A-Bomb, and he goes after A-Bomb, and it's really great issue. Most of it's pretty much a fight, but there's a lot of emotion behind it, as A-Bomb doesn't want to give up his powers. And he feels, you know, it's kind of a bit of a violation that Hulk isn't even giving him the choice. But Hulk is just so blinkered that what he's doing here is the right thing. But it leads to some great dialogue between the two characters. We have a cameo for MODOK, which is really cool, and I liked that. And the end just really gets me excited where this book is heading, because it seems like he's going through all the different Hulks, and that could lead to some cool stuff. And this was an enjoyable issue, and I feel Hulk's really picking up again. And I'd give Hulk issue number 6 5 stars out of 5. We then have a Daredevil issue number 8. This book was once again brilliant. Javier Rodriguez did a great job on the art, while Samney had a few issues off. But Samney back, oh god, this guy is just brilliant. I could watch, I don't care what book you take. You could take my least favourite characters, and I would buy it if Samney was doing the art. I just love how he draws comics. The story introduces the sinister villain that we've seen before, and this long-term plan that he's had. And the story takes a twist where the villain becomes even more sinister as it changes, but I don't want to give too much away. We then have Matt Murdock dealing with life as Daredevil, been outed, and he gets to meet his girlfriend's father, but there's a whole reason for that. But there's some really great stuff there. I really like the interaction between Matt and his girlfriend, whose name escapes me, but it should be in here. You can never find the title page when you want it. Kirsty McDuffie. I really love the dialogue and the relationship of Daredevil and Kirsten. I really liked that, and that was really great. and the sinister turn of the villain. This book is just excellent. Just read it. It is brilliant. It's scary and spooky, but then it grounds it as well with this relationship going on through it, and I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I'd give Daredevil issue number 8 5 stars out of 5. Speaking of great books, we have All New X Factor issue number 14. This book is a great jumping on point. Basically it deals with Scarlet Witch visiting her sister Polaris, and they together with Danger go to spend the day together at this fair and get sucked into all this other crazy stuff that's going on. Really great story. In some ways it's kind of a one shot, but it has ties in to other parts of the story, so it's going to be interesting to seeing the effects of this later on. It's a great issue to jump in if you've wanted to try the book, because it's very much an open kind of book for you to join. I really enjoyed this. It was a really fun story. I think if you like your female superheroes, this is a book to read, because this issue you've got 3 female characters totally kicking ass, totally been strong, but been real as well. Or if you've wanted to jump in on the book, this is a great point to jump in, because pretty much what you need to know is explained on the opening page, and then the rest of the story you're good to go. Really good issue. I'm really enjoying this. I think it's one of the most underrated books from Marvel right now, as I don't hear many people talking about it, but every issue they just do a really great job, and I give All New X Factor issue number 14 5 stars out of 5. We then have All New X-Men issue number 32. Really enjoyed this. Our original X-Men are thrown throughout different realities. We don't see the girl that caused it, but we see them dealing with where they are, which is really cool. And they all end up in really cool places, and seeing them deal with their surroundings is really good. And yeah, this was a really fun issue. Art wise, was the art, yeah, I thought the art does a really great job as well this issue, and anytime you get to see Ultimate Spider-Man's got to be a good thing. And this, all in all, this was a good book. Really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed the direction. You've got that kind of thing, you know that they must get back, but at the moment you're kind of like, how are they going to get back together? And I'm just really enjoying this book, because I have no idea where they're going with the story. And I give All New X-Men issue number 32, I'd give it 5 stars out of 5. So our penultimate book, yes, half an hour into the video and we're down to the penultimate book. Thor and Loki, the 10th Realm, issue number 5. This was good. I felt they left themselves an impossible task. There was so much to do in the last issue that you never got enough time with some of the stuff. I loved the interactions between Angela when she finds out that she's a daughter of Odin, and the sister of Thor. I really liked all of that. I thought that was some really good moments. It didn't work for me that Odin shows up and says, "Oh, that's my daughter, I recognise that," like when you've not seen her since she was a baby. That didn't really work for me. But I did feel that this story, all in all, did kind of wrap everything up. You might have liked to see them spend longer on some stuff if they'd have done stuff an issue sooner. But I like this, and I like the way they round the story up and the way it ends, and the future Loki watching it all. I like that as well. And yeah, this, I thought they did a good job with this, and all in all I think it was an enjoyable series. And if you Thor and Loki, the 10th Round, issue number 5, I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. And so we come down to the final issue of Thor God of Thunder, issue number 25, the book I was most looking forward to this week. It was good. It felt more like an issue 0 for Thor than the final part of this part of the story, as we kind of set up a lot of things that are going to come. I like the structure of the story, how we have the Daughters of Thunder in the future, and they're reading these books with different stories, and so we get the origin story of Malekith, the Accursed, which I loved. I thought that was really good. We then get this other story of young Thor, and the Frost Giants trying to raise one of their great warriors, which I really liked that. We then get a nice double page spread and a glimpse into the future with our female Thor, which was just awesome. And then kind of the story kind of ends with Thor on the moon still trying to lift Mjolnir. Like I say, I like the structure of the story and how they pieced it all together. I liked how each story had a different artist, which I felt really worked. I thought the young Thor, the artist on young Thor, his art particularly reminded me of 2000 AD, and kind of one of the stories you'd find in there. The art, and then you've got like Malkief's story, which again is completely not just drawn different, but the way the colours they used on the different parts of the story as well were very different. And then of course for the end of the book, we kind of go back to having Esad Ribic on art. Art wise, I really enjoyed it. And all in all, I enjoyed the story, and it really excited me for the next chapter. There's a nice bit at the back with Jason Aaron kind of telling you this isn't the end of his story, that he always had this bigger Thor story and this is just the first bit. So that's really exciting, that there's a lot more to come. It's also like some of the stuff that they kind of tease and build for the future in here, I really liked. I thought that was really cool. And again, I left this book feeling really excited for the future, which is what you should be. But it did very much feel like more issue 0 of 4 than the last issue of Thor God of Thunder. But otherwise, yeah, this was great, and I'd give Thor God of Thunder issue number 25, I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. So, at last, we've made it to the end. I'm sorry about the length of this one, it's a bit of a monster. Next week, good news, it'll be a much shorter week. I've got 10 books I'm picking up next week, so that's going to be good. It'll be a much shorter video and a much shorter week. I hope you enjoyed this long video. If you did, please give me those beautiful thumbs up so I know you enjoyed what I'm doing. I will be back, like I say, next Wednesday with a haul video, and then some point over the weekend with a review video. So, thank you once again for watching. I've been Jason. This has been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.